Hey everyone, Sycra here, and I'm back in Manga Studio with a little bit more experience, so I just wanted to make another video showing some of the new things I learned. Most of them were just painful, because I didn't know how to do something and I wanted to do it and it didn't work. So I'm just going to guide you through that. So let's go to File New, and well, first, let's say you just got Manga Studio 5 and you don't know how to make it a dark background. You go to File Preferences, Interface, and change the color from light to dark, and you can adjust the density to make it lighter or darker. And I kind of like it dark, so it's like CS6 Photoshop. Anyway, so File New. Now, one thing is that sometimes your image looks like this, defaults to this, and to get rid of that and just make it a blank white page, if that's what you want, you just turn off Manga Draft Settings here. So, okay. And there we have our new layer. And something I tried to do early on was a perspective grid. And so to do that, you go to Layer, Ruler, Create Perspective Ruler, and then you get to choose 1, 2, or 3 points. Click OK, and there. Now we have a perspective grid. And if I want to move these around, you've got to have this tool selected, the Select tool, and then just click on any one of these lines, and then all these little dots will appear. And if you click on the green one in the middle, that allows you to move the horizon up and down. And then the blue ones moves the vanishing point. And because this is 3 point, there's also a third vanishing point. And I'm just scrolling to zoom in and out using spacebar to move things around. You can zoom in many different ways, Control minus, Control plus, and I think there's some other ways to zoom in and out. Yeah, you can zoom in from this bottom part too. You can rotate with this, so yeah. You can also, hold R, yeah, and rotate. And I want it back to normal, so if I want it back to normal, I just hold down Shift, and then it's easy to get it back to straight up and down. And go back to the Select tool, and then I can grab this vanishing point. Usually third vanishing points are either very high or very low, like there or there. So it's important to, you wouldn't want a third vanishing point that's very close. And same with these other two. It's a good idea to keep your vanishing points in general pretty far apart. You could have one that's closer and one that's quite far, and it will still look good. So anyway, now we have this perspective grid, so that's fine. And now if I go on another layer, I could have gone on the same layer, but let's just say I go on a different layer and I select my pencil, and the shortcut for pencil is P, but it's also the shortcut for pen. So this was confusing for me, but if you hit P once, it gets to the pen. If you hit P twice, it gets the pencil, or you could just go on the side and click pencil. And now, actually I should use pen just because it's easier to see. Now, whenever I draw, things will go in perspective. Like my lines automatically will go to a vanishing point. And that's cool and extremely useful and amazing. But the problem is, when I first started doing this, I didn't know how to stop doing this. It's like, wait, okay, that's great. I can draw in perspective, because if I wanted to draw, for instance, I want to draw a box, I just start drawing and it's automatically going in perspective. But then if I wanted to draw a person, I didn't know what to do anymore. It's like, oh no, now what? And the answer is very simple. You just turn off, at the top here, there's like 3, I don't know, one says snap to ruler, one says snap to special ruler, which the perspective tool is a special ruler. and one says snap to grid. And you just turn off snap to special ruler, and now I can draw normally again. So, I was struggling with that for so long. Anyway, what else? Okay, so if I click this triangle, this blue triangle, and yours might not be a blue triangle, it might be just this line. And then if it's a line, basically the way it works is you have the main tools, and then if you click the tool, you get sub-tools. And so in the line tool, you get your lines, but you also get frames, and you also get rulers. So in ruler, you go to perspective ruler. And then with it, so that's the second step. So this is the first step, and then the second step, and here's the third step is tool property. And tool property is basically, I don't know, it's like it gives you even more options. So let's go back to our thing, and I can add more guides if I want, using this. And there's also a way to, what else? You can delete guides, yes, I know that. There was another thing where I could, wait, what did I just do? Oh, I don't know what this does. But anyway, there's a way to add a grid. But anyway, I'm not seeing it, so. But I know before there was like a grid, and then I made a grid and it was very cool. But moving on. So that's the perspective tool, and that's fine. So now I can delete this because I'm not going to worry about that, and I have my drawing. And the next important thing that I figured out, or had to figure out, was how to fill colors very easily. So right now we have a bunch of things, and let's say this is my line art, so I can relabel this. Rename layer. Can I rename my layers? No? Why? Huh. I thought this was just like, you can, oh, okay, I was clicking 100% normal. I should have clicked layer 1. Okay. See, I'm still learning. Just as I go, this is how I pretty much learn anyway. You just figure things out this slow and stupid way. But anyway, make a new layer. So I have my line art layer. That's fine. And I'll make a new layer underneath. And let's say I want to fill in colors. Okay, well, what you originally start off with is a paint bucket tool. And if you just fill, it's, hold on. It'll do something like that. You know, it just fills with the color. But if you want to go and fill it in those colors, like, you'd have to go on the line art layer. But if you don't want to go on the line art layer because you don't want to mess with the line art layer and you want to fill but still do that thing that, you know, that, like, I just fill that portion, what you need to do is turn the line art layer into a referring layer. And the way you do, or a reference layer. So the way you do that is just in the layer window. There's like this, I don't even know what it is. Maybe it's a lighthouse, but you click that icon. It's just below where it says normal here. And it says set as reference layer. And then the next thing you need to do is in your paint bucket tool, you have the tool properties, and I'm going to fill the current layer, that's fine. But under tool properties, there's this one that says multiple, what is it? I don't even know what the full name of that is, multiple something. And you check that, and then you have some options, all layers, selected layer, layer within folder, or referring layer. I don't know why they call it referring layer here and reference layer here, but maybe they're just being whatever. So if you click referring layer, then basically now when I fill stuff, it will only affect, like, see, it'll just behave the way I wanted it to behave, which is like so. Okay, so that's great and wonderful, and also it's amazing. But let's say I filled a bunch of stuff, and there's like this white area that I want filled. So what I can do is go to Paint Unfilled Area. And then I can actually color, let's say I wanted that a different color, maybe this color. Then what I can do is paint in that. I need to make my brush bigger, paint that whole thing, and then it will fill with that color. But you have to make sure where it says target color, it's the right thing. So at first I knew about this tool because I'd seen someone just like scribble and it filled, and I was like, whoa, that's great. But my target color was only transparent part, and that did not work. So I had to switch it to only white and transparent. And then when I fill it, hey, work. There, then it works. Yeah. So there we go. So then it works, and that's fine. So that was the other big breakthrough. And that's the main thing. There's little things that I've learned, like you can go to any layer and then click on this button, and it makes it blue line, so it's easy to have a sketch layer, and then you draw on top with your pen, and you can sort of, refine all your stuff, make it more clean, even though I'm making it less clean, but you can do that. And then, so, basically you can draw in black and then make it appear blue, so it's easy to clean it up that way. You can also color your layers by just clicking here, change palette color. You can change it to red, so I know, hey, this is my line art layer. Maybe all the red layers are line art. Maybe I can make my color layers orange or something like that. So then it's just easier to organize. And another thing to organize is, if I had a bunch of layers, so let's just make a ton of layers, and let's make this layer green, and this layer is, maybe I'm filling in certain things on this green layer, but I want to also make some corrections to my line art. What I can do is, instead of, right now I'd have to keep scrolling all the way down, find my line art, go to my line art, make whatever I need, and then scroll all the way back up and go back to my green layer, which happens to be layer 18. If I click this button on the bottom left of the layer thing, it separates it into two panes, like window panes, and I can just find my line art there, and I can also increase the size of that. So now I can just, go back and forth that way, so I don't have to scroll down. It's just a time saver. If you ever have like situations like this, which I have had, because sometimes you'll have lines and you want to fill them, right? But you'll have little gaps. Let's see if there's any gaps here. Well, let's see about this one. Oh, that works. Let's just make a gap 1. Oh, why did I do that? Stay on my green layer and go to my line art layer, and then, okay, I'll just use a pencil. And I'll make something like that. So, if we zoom in, you'll see there's a little gap. Now, if I fill, let's say I wanted to fill that. Right now it fills the whole thing. So you got to change, if you want it to not do that, you have to change the close gap. So it's more or less, I don't know. Maybe that gap is too big. It's too big. It doesn't fit. Okay, there's a smaller gap. Let's see if that solves it. Way to prove your point, man. Wait. Okay, good. Okay, so there we go. So if you have more closed gap, it means it will allow for more gaps, and if you have less closed gap, it will allow for less gaps. I hope that makes sense. I'm confused. Alright, well that's my introduction to Manga Studio, a beginner's guide, the beginner being me, and hope to help. Thanks for watching.